Hello, everybody, and welcome to my look at what I think wrestling will look like in 5 years' time. In 5 years, we will be coming off the back of Double or Nothing 2029. We've just witnessed WrestleMania 45. There's going to be a lot going on in the wrestling world. So I'm thinking now, 5 years ahead of the fact, what's going to actually happen in those 5 years? Now, there are a lot of people that we know on our rosters today that are be like, yes, we love that person. They're such a good talent. But at that point, we know will be unfortunately retired, passed away, or numerous other things that could happen to them. Now, there are some of these that are obvious, some of these slightly less obvious. You could argue them, but I listed quite a few of them that I'm going to go through for you today. So, the first one we're looking at is Edge, Adam Copeland in AEW. We're going to go through AEW first, then WWE. So, Adam Copeland, he's been wrestling since 1998. Yes, he did take a giant break from 2010 to 2020, but at the same time, he's been wrestling a lot. He recently hurt his tibia in a match at Double or Nothing, so it wouldn't be surprising if he were to retire sooner rather than later. We'll also, I think, see Matt Jackson of the Young Bucks take his leave as he will be 44 in 5 years, while Nick, I think, could keep going at the age of 39. Kazuchika Okada also has a chance of going away. This one is debatable. He'll be 41 at the time. And we've seen many wrestlers, even R-Truth, who we'll get to a little later on, wrestle, into their 50s. But we're assuming that these people, once they hit about 40 or a little beyond 40, are going to say, okay, I've wrestled for a long time. I'm going to take my break right now. We'll see that definitely with someone like Billy Gunn, who's been around for ages, it feels, still wrestling in a decent capacity. But I feel at that point it might be a little too much to keep him around, maybe in a managerial sense, but nothing really in ring like we'll see nowadays with someone like Taz, who, yet again, we'll get to down the line. Then, oh my gosh, Chris Jericho. I am the learning tree. Bro, we don't care. Retire. I don't like Chris Jericho very much. I think the learning tree segment on Dynamite was kind of funny, but no, no, no. No, Chris Jericho, please retire. You've done enough for the wrestling business. I am being as accurate with what I'm saying and not being sarcastic as Jericho was during that learning tree segment. Anyways, I think we'd also see someone like Christian Cage take his leave. Also, Claudio Castagnoli. He does seem like he could go for way longer, but he's about 42 right now. So I could see that he takes his exit from the wrestling business some point around 2029 or a little bit before or after. We'll also see people like Dustin Rhodes, who's been wrestling since the 90s. He'll probably leave since he's been working since WCW existed. Both members of FTR could leave, both for age reasons and for legal reasons. Cha-ching. Then we could also see wrestling legends like Bryan Danielson take his leave, the Hardy Boys, Jim Ross, just for commentary reasons, Kenny Omega, Tony Schiavone, Penta, and all those people could reasonably leave just because they're getting old now. They're not, I guess, as good as they used to. I'm not saying Danielson is bad now. Not to hate on Danielson. He's the best wrestler in the world, debatable right now. Duh. But at the same time, I think in 2029, just let him rest, let him live off his spoils from WWE, AEW, TNA, whatever. And the same thing goes for all the others I mentioned. You could also include Jeff Jarrett in that list. He's been wrestling for ages now. Again, WCW existed, but I think he existed as a wrestler before WCW went like TV and Nitro existed, so he's been around for a while. And then Penta El Zero Miedo, or Penta El Zero M, or Penta, I don't know. He has like 8 different names, but he'll probably be going away. He's pretty old now, or will be in 2029. And I think all the people I just listed will be taking their leave at some point, either around, a little before, a little after, or directly in 2029. Now, if we look at the WWE side of things, we have a lot of talent, and some of this is a little questionable, but I thought I'd put them on there because they are an interesting thing to look at. So I think we'll see the Awesome Truth, both of them, Miz and R-Truth, take their leave. They've been around for ages. Let them rest, especially Truth, as I mentioned before. I think we'll also see people like Styles and Cena go away. Cena's basically retired already, and Styles is getting up there in age. But again, we could see any of these people go on into their latter 40s, early 50s, something like that. We'll also see people like Asuka, Becky Lynch, Bayley, Bobby Lashley, Carlito, and Rey Mysterio leave. Obviously, Rey's already a Hall of Famer, and most of the other people I just listed are going to be Hall of Famers. And if you have enough to be a Hall of Famer, it is valid that you can retire. I think that's kind of the thought process I have about it. Ray could retire any day now, and we'd still just say, like, yes, oh my gosh, we love Rey Mysterio, and be sad that he's leaving. But at the same time, he's not like sticking around too long, being, taking away from younger talent who really deserve TV time and kind of being mean, not really giving them a chance to win any important titles. I don't think there's really anybody in the wrestling industry who would take away TV time from younger talent, because that just seems like something that would be a very mean thing to do. And again, Ray doesn't do that, and he's a very good person for it. And I hope nobody does that I know of. That would be unfortunate. Anyways, we're going to keep going with CM Punk. He'll probably be gone. So will Randy Orton, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, The New Day, The Usos, maybe, Michael Cole, Natalya, Paul Heyman, Bobby Roode, Roman Reigns, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, maybe, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Ciampa. Now, if you agree with those, that is perfectly fine, but I feel you can argue a decent amount of those. Like, oh, the Usos, they can stick around for a little longer. They can go into their 40s. And that is perfectly fine. Same thing with people like Roman, McIntyre, Nakamura. It's just that they don't really have anything else left to do in their careers for people like Nakamura and people like McIntyre. They've done basically everything they can do. Could Nakamura win a world title? Sure, but look at how he's being booked now. Is there really a chance of him doing that in WWE? Probably not. But in a different promotion? Sure. Why not? Someone like Dolph Ziggler was doing that nowadays, Nick Nemeth, as I should say. And he'll probably be retired by that point as well, since I'm mentioning TNA. Speaking of TNA, there were a lot of TNA invasions on NXT, as you saw last week. And speaking of NXT, we're going to see a lot of NXT stars move all the way up into that main event scene after a while. So now we're going to be looking at those main event scene guys and gals in about 5 years, who I will think is popping up into that picture and spot in the lineup. So we'll see people like Logan Paul, I think, will be an actual main event guy at that point. I think we'll see a lot of NXT, as I said, with Oba Femi, Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes, Roxanne Perez, and then people who are from NXT like Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio, Austin Theory, Braun Breaker, Chad Gable, the Creed brothers even, Gunther, Ilya Dragunov, Javon Evans, even though right now he's just really new in NXT, I think in just 5 years' time, he could be in that main event scene. Lyra Valkyria, both members of the Street Profits. My GOAT, the greatest of all time, the best professional wrestler, Omos. I have a drawing. I have a signed card. I have a signed plaque. My favorite wrestler of all time is going to be in the main event scene. I don't care what you have to say about it. Let me go get his figure too, because Omos is the greatest professional wrestler on the entire planet right now. There is no arguing this at all. OMOS. Boom! The main event, the main eventer of every WrestleMania for the next 20,000 years. Omos. Where's Jericho? You know what? Let's have a quick Omos Jericho match right now. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, double choke slam. 1, 2, 3, ding, ding, ding. Omos wins. Jericho dies, goes off into retirement. Whatever. Omos, new world champion, doesn't lose it for 80 bazillion years. In all reality, I would like to see that, but unfortunately, booking probably won't let that happen. And we'll also see people like Sol Ruka and Solo Sikoa really rocking with the sun today and being alone. Will really pop up into that scene, maybe because of talent, maybe because they just happen to be part of the Anoa'i family. Sorry, Solo. But alas, they're going to be in the main event scene anyways. It doesn't really matter. We'll also see people like Tiffany Stratton and Wes Lee pop up there in time. Then, if you look at the AEW side of things, there's not as many people that I think can really shoot up with where they are right now, but a decent amount at the same time. We have Daniel Garcia, Hook, Konosuke Takeshita, Jay White, Nick Wayne, Ricky Starks, still Will Ospreay, I will get to that in a minute, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, Julia Hart, Mariah May, Willow Nightingale, and the acclaimed Save Billy Gunn. Now, I would say, or you might say, Will Ospreay, he's already in the main event. He's challenging Swerve Strickland for the world title at the next pay-per-view. Jamie Hayter, she's basically in the main event. She's just been out with an injury for a while. And I'm not saying that they will become main event. I'm saying that they can stay there, like Will Ospreay. He has consistently been main event for basically his whole career, especially in New Japan. And now that he's in AEW, it's basically been, New Japan, main event, main event, main event, main event. mid card main event, AEW ish. And then I think in a couple 5 years, he'll be just main event again and really be that world champion guy that he absolutely deserves to be at the ripe old age of 31. Ooh, how old he is. So that's what I think will happen with wrestling in 5 years, with all the people from AEW and WWE who will be shooting up or leaving the company whatsoever. I also think at that time we might have a more working relationship between big companies, WWE, AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor. I think a few of those companies won't exist in 5 years in 2029. I think Ring of Honor might not exist. Stardom might just become part of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Who really knows? I don't. I'm just making predictions. If you agree with what I said here, make sure to leave a comment about what I got right, what I got wrong even. Make sure to leave a like, dislike. I don't particularly care. Interactions help the algorithm. Anyways, make sure you have a good day, good evening, good night, good morning, good noon, good dusk, good whatever. Make sure to watch any former or future episodes of this channel. And goodbye.